Are you ready to learn some defense, bro? You ready to learn the D?
Defense? Yeah.
Yeah.
Ready to learn the D, huh?
Yeah.
So hold on, you're gonna teach defense and offense, or like what was your like what's your
I could teach you both.
syllabus here?
Yeah, I can. I mean, whatever you want, man. Whatever you want.
No, seriously, like I want. I guess I want your, professional opinion as to like what people should tackle. Yeah,
professional. I don't know about professional. Well, I think defense specifically. It depends on what you're struggling with, right? For you, I think your defense is struggling, and your offense.
Yeah, for sure.
Your offense is struggling in a different way. Where like your defense is just struggling because of a few reasons that I can see. Is that one is like you're not necessarily learning how your opponent plays, right? You're just kind of like
I am not.
you're just kind of like going YOLO, like based off of hard reads, right? And that's I understand. I understand coming from Street Fighter where that seems to be like a prevalent thing in Street Fighter. You just go for hard reads, sometimes, right? And I understand that, but in Tekken, like usually going for hard reads is like the least thing you should, like the last thing you should rely on in terms of defense or offense. Because there's so many more options, right? Like I think you mentioned before, like how you can just move and it just eliminate a lot of your opponent's options. And yeah, that's something for defense you could definitely do. And offense, like I think you lack conditioning. And
I am not looking.
Yeah, rather than checking to see if they know Nina, you just kind of act like they don't constantly. And when you do that, you're just gonna get blown up. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's why I'll still. It's funny too. Like I'm still willing to test even people that know. So I'll still do down forward 3-4 against Hugh, and I'll catch it like once in a while. But it's like it's a very low percentage, right? I mean, obviously no one's perfect 100% of the time, but it's just I'm like my willingness to still test is still is just very bad. I like to do it in Street Fighter. Yeah, usually you don't get punished as hard.
Yeah,
I don't know.
This game is super punishing. So
yes, super punishing.
Like you do a high string, you get launched. There goes 50% of your health.
Yeah,
and then you're at the wall, right? So
exactly, and you're at the wall, and then now you have like this horrible Oki situation.
Yeah.
That it's really like Tekken is very brutal like that. I feel like
it is,
at higher and higher levels, there's less and less room to fuck up. Really, there isn't much room.
Yeah, that's why you see like
Infinite Azure. Sorry.
Oh, it's fine. If like that's why it's always better to be to like kind of react to your opponent, like learn what they like to do and how they play the game before you just start implementing things into your gameplay.
Right.
Hey, what's up, Sonny? Can't really talk too much about the chat, guys. Sorry, I'm trying to teach this noob how to play the game.
Yeah. That's definitely one of the things I noticed when I'm on the when I'm on the call with you. It's hard to focus on chat. As well,
it is. Yeah, because we got a voice actually. Like you have to talk to me and shit. So totally. Like understand the thing is characters have spacing, right? So like I think it's. The very first thing to do is to learn each character's spacing. So Nina's spacing is garbage, right? So she can't do shit. Like +1 is where she wants to be,
you
right?
Have this, right? And then you also have up forward 4.
Or like that. Yeah, it's gimmick though.
And down back 2, right?
Down back 2
these are
is
things
really
that move us forward, but not too much else outside of that, I guess.
Yeah, so like her range is trash. So normally being around like +2 or +1.5, that's fine, right? That's comfortable for you. Like in terms of being on defense, right? So like being here, you're not scared of anything that I'm gonna do, right? Other than down back 2, right? Like other than that, and that you can backdash away. So it's not too bad. But certain characters have insane range. For example, Lei Wulong. I was bitching about it yesterday, but I want to make a point that he's a terrible matchup for Nina. Like absolutely, like because he has like literally he can hit you from +3 range, and Nina's sidestep is trash. So it's not like you have a lot of options, right? So it's like all you really have to do is wait till he whiffs and then predict whether he's gonna do something stupid like trying to do a counter hit low and just launch that shit, right? Like that's like basically how you play defense against Lei. So certain characters, like Brian's really hard to play against too with Nina, right? Because Brian has a lot of range, given that he's a lot more linear than Lei. But still, he can punish you pretty hard, right? Because once you're at the wall, you're pretty much dead. So. Understanding spacing is really important, like where you can go in for a poke. So like where your opponent is comfortable for poking. So like most characters are comfortable poking around +1 range, right? So like around here, maybe a little bit closer. This is a range where you can expect your opponent to press a button. And if you're 2 steps back or 2 backdashes away, that's less likely, right? That's less likely unless they have that kind of range. So you're kind of free to like coax them in by using movement or like, you know, throwing out some random things, you know, like random down for 2. But given that if your opponent is very good at launch punishing on whiff, yeah, like sidestep 1s are great at +3 range because it kind of your opponent will kind of come in at that range. Like given that it's kind of a gimmick in itself. It's like, oh, if your opponent just chooses to stay out, then you're screwed because you have to come in, right? So a lot of times it's just like that. But like for defense wise, you just want to keep them spaced out, you know, and understand that Nina, her defense is pretty rough because she doesn't have a lot of good
get off me moves.
Yeah, she has like no.
My panic move is usually Magic 4.
Yeah,
like,
Magic 4. But that's also kind of gimmicky as well because it has terrible tracking.
It's high.
Yeah, and it's high. So most of the time I find myself actually just moving away from them or making them whiff. And even though they didn't whiff something, or if they whiff something that's not punishable, like in terms of a whiff punish, like with forward 1+2 or like, you know, a launch, then even so, then I just approach them because they know that if they press a button, like if they do something stupid like a down 4-2 and then they dash up and do a down 4-2 like that, like at least they're at minus frames if you block, right? So that's how you get in with Nina in terms of offense. But defensive wise, you just space them out, you know, 1-4s occasionally, some long range moves, right? So just singular jabs is a good way to check your opponent to see if they're gonna move or press. You know, down forward 1 to see if they duck, you know. Like down forward 1 is kind of trash given that the range. That's why I like using down forward 2. But down forward 2 is much more punishable on whiff than a down forward 1. So just keep that in mind. Yeah. So you know, down back 2 is good too, obviously. But yeah, space them out. Like if you're having troubles coming in, don't go into them. Let them come to you. You know. So defense revolves around
that only
movement.
works if
you have the lead, right? Yeah.
Right. I mean, like, see, that's the thing. Like, you know, you're talking about down forward 1. Like, is the expected way to use it like run up and then down forward 1? Because like I feel like a lot of times I'll whiff because the range is just not.
So there's something I want to mention to you is that a lot of Koreans when they play, I mention Koreans a lot, but let's be honest, they're fucking amazing at the game. So and the reason why they do pokes, if you see like how Neat pokes. He just moves forward, like he double dashes forward and does a back dash and then a side step. Move forward, back dash, back dash. He mixes it up. So he doesn't always do like the same movement. So he won't just do a dash forward and then a back dash, back dash. He'll he won't do that over and over again. He'll do something else. He'll just keep moving and sidestepping, you know, like he's moving constantly. He's kind of like understanding when his opponent's going to press. And if his opponent whiffs something, then he knows, then he can learn that that's the timing that they like to press a button or when at the range that they're feeling panicky, right?
Right.
And jabs will kind of also teach you some things too. Like, does your opponent press after jabs? Does your opponent like to move? Does your opponent like to how they react? You know, like that's a really important way to play the neutral game and spacing and defense in general. And Nina, you kind of have to use that to your advantage because Nina's defense is trash. I'm just gonna be flat out because she's so all in, right? Like if you're like expecting like something like a meaty mid and you're trying to Hayashida step that you're gonna get launched, right? So there's likelihood you're gonna get launched, and her sidestep is trash. So good luck sidestepping. You're gonna have to sidewalk and commit to things, and sidewalking is very risky in this game, obviously.
Yeah, for sure. So, not blocking at all.
So get off me tools. A common thing to do, you know, like when someone rage drives is like dick jab, right?
Yeah.
Like if they're plus frames, like that's fine, right? You can still get those the generic 4s, right? Down 4s. Those are good as panic moves, but I wouldn't rely on them because obviously they're lows. You know, this is a special mid, so it can be low parried or low crush. So like, you know, you can be crushed by this, things like that. So it's still not something you should rely on as a panic move. But you know, utilize her movement. Backdashing is super important with Nina. Like her backdash is not the greatest, right? Like it's not.
Doesn't move that far.
Yeah, it's not that good. It's kind of awkward. The timing is weird. And it's not like if you're trying to get the full backdash, you really have to like hold back for a long time, right? Like I can't do it very well because I don't know, trash at the game. And I stopped playing Nina. But yeah, like her backdash feels really awkward. So you have to get kind of.
So how do you know, like, if you're doing backdash canceling correctly? I mean, I know like you can cancel too fast. Like I'm doing too fast, and you're not getting the distance that you should probably get.
So it's not so much about the speed. There's like every character has their rhythm, right? So a lot of people misunderstand the thing about Korean backdash canceling is that it's not how fast you do it. It's about what character you're playing and how long you have to hold back. So I want you to double tap back and then hold back and then go to down back really quickly, just really quickly. That's a backdash cancel. So you double tap back, you hold back, and then you go down back and then back immediately, and hold that back afterwards. So I want you to, when you do your Korean backdashes, I want you to hold back a little bit longer. When you're like, so let's say you do your first backdash, you can go immediately to down back, right? And then when you go back to back, I want you to hold that back. So do it again. So don't hit down back immediately. Just hold back afterwards. Oh. So when you're repeating them, just hold back, and then go to down back.
Is it like that's that delay? You know, like you just kind of stop there for a little bit.
See, if you do too fast, like then you're gonna get something like that, right? You're gonna get a half step. You want the full backdash. I can't really do right now. I don't know why. Maybe.
Is it like that? I mean.
So her full backstep, you should be taking an entire +1 range. So it should be this range, right? And more.
Okay.
Like that. Similar to that. Her backdash is trash. But
yeah. I noticed a lot of movement things are not that good with Nina. I thought she was going to be average, right? I mean, that's all I was asking for, but apparently not.
No, she's below average in terms of her spacing game. So you really have to utilize a lot of movement. So like when most people do like 1 or 2 backdashes, you have to do 3 or 4. It really sucks. And her rhythm is really awkward too. It's not smooth. If you do too fast, you get like that really awkward
you get
stutter
that sway as well,
yeah,
right?
the
so
sway.
It's like not easy either.
So with spacing with Nina, you have to understand that your opponent will most likely have a range advantage over you. So when it comes to defense, you have to be on point with your Korean backdashes, your side steps, or side walks. You just have to be a better player. Like, I hate saying that, but you really do. On certain matchups. Like, actually, a really fucking terrible matchup is Kazuya. Kazuya will utterly destroy Nina. Because Kazuya just can... He has a very quick, if he flash ducks any high strings, you're getting launched 100%. If you're not doing true frame traps, he's going to counter hit launch you into perfect electric, if he's good.
Right.
And not only that, but any low that he blocks, he can pretty much launch, other than down 2 and, things like that. So Kazuya is actually a terrible matchup for Nina as well. But the good thing about that is that Kazuya is linear for the most part. So yeah, you just have to be a better player. It sucks. So like you're gonna have to poke. Sometimes you're gonna have to do this. Just
like get in their face.
Yeah, just sometimes you just have to do that. Like you just have to understand how the player wants to play. And if they're being really aggressive, then it plays into your advantage because Nina has some good counter hit launchers, right? Obviously down 4-2. She has wall standing back 1. This is really good.
Dude, what? Are you serious? That we're in the range on this trash?
No, it's good because like let's say like
how do you set this up?
Well, okay,
I never use that.
Wall standing back 1 is only good when you're doing like full crouch mix-ups, right? So like.
Okay. So from here, I'm gonna threaten and wipe the floor, and then instead I'll do the.
Or like it depends on how your opponent plays, right? Like sometimes you can just be really disrespectful and just do this in their face, and then, it really depends. Like it's memey, right? Like it's not very reliable. But sometimes it's very good depending on the opponent. Like if you have a hard read on their movement, like and when they like to press buttons and shit like that, sometimes something like that will trigger them. Like oh my god, I can't believe he's ducking in my face. Like I can't believe that shit. Like he's triggering me right now. And then you just do a wall standing back 1 and they get counter hit launched. Or alternatively, like I said, wall standing 1s are good. They're a little slow, so be careful about that. They're a little slow, like in neutral game. So.
Okay. Yeah. I guess it's. Oh, you're right. It's only 13 frames when it starts because you actually have to do the forward sway itself.
Yeah.
So it's actually longer, right?
The nice thing about that move is that it goes pretty deep. That's the only thing. So, but whiffing that shit, you're gonna get launched 100%.
Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah, like in terms of defense, like doing moves is actually fine, but just doing singular moves is good. You know what I mean? Like. when I see you play Nina in defense, you're
you're
spamming moves constantly.
Yeah.
Like you're just spamming. I'm like, dude, just do a singular fucking jab and backdash, you know? Like or like you know, do a 1-4 and see what they do, you know? See if they duck, then they you know they're good and they're gonna be ducking. Then you know you start doing slides and shit like that and see if they duck and just jab, down forward 1, see if they move, down back 2, you know?
So quick question. When you're talking about conditioning and stuff, you basically when you boil it down, it's basically you're looking for their reaction. You are starting something. I'll do a 1, and then I'm gonna see what you do. You could step. You could you could try to like get a reversal or something. Like everyone has like a different idea of like what to do or what to play. Like how they're gonna handle this situation.
Yeah.
Do you literally have to keep track of everything in your head? So, okay, I'm seeing what he does after this. I'm seeing what he does after this. I'm seeing what he does after a down 4-3. Does he know to duck? Like, are you literally mentally keeping track of like what he does after each move? Like, what does he do after this, right? And are you keeping track of all of that?
Want me to be honest? I do personally. It's not a good way to play Tekken because if you think about it too much, then you hesitate and then it's too much in your head. So like in the long run, it's probably not good to play like that. But that's just the kind of person I am. I'm fucking
but you have to condition though. You have to know.
Right, exactly. You have to condition.
You know, like at least understand, right? I mean. But you do keep all that in your head then.
Yeah, at least I try to. Like it's just a habit for me to do it. So
that's
like
fucking crazy, man.
Yeah, so that's why Tekken's hard, man. Like because you're playing the player and you're playing the game at the same time. So and the game is fucking hard. So if I see that after a jab, like and what I usually do after my jabs, I sidestep. Usually to their weak side or something like that. See what they do, right? Because that way I don't sacrifice the range or the plus frames. So like I'm sacrificing the +1, but big deal. If they do a magic 4, they're gonna whiff, and you can down 4-2 on the whiff punish, things like that.
So you do that with down forward 1 as well. Down forward 1 and stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, down forward 1's a little bit minus, but that's fine. Right? But you can see what I usually backdash after that because Nina's See like that? You try to do down 4-2 there, and well, I'm bad. But yeah. Yeah. So
I think I did it late. Yeah, like that. There you go.
And then you can like capitalize on that shit.
Yeah.
It's just like how you play Nina, and obviously sometimes you can just, like in terms of offense, if you want to open them up, you can just use movement and just kind of like do nothing. Just coax them into pressing button and just have like a feeling like when you can do down 2, down 4-2, things like that to poke offense. Panic moves though for like defense, I'd say my most panic move is the singular jab or 1-2. Honestly, wow, okay. I do that a lot. I do a lot of jabs. Jabs are really fucking strong in this game, man. And Nina's jabs are pretty good. Like they're not amazing, but they track pretty well.
My panic is down 4-4.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of getting crushed or whatever. Like they ducked it or some shit.
If you're worried about getting crushed, that's not too bad, But given that if you whip this shit, look at the recovery. Oh shit.
Oh yeah, it's not so good. And then also, I've done wipe the floors accidentally trying to do this. Like sometimes like I'll slip and I was just like, oh fuck,
Down forward 4 is really good, but I would say that it doesn't really offer much because it pushes them away, right? So as a keep off tool, it's great, right? But keep in mind that a good opponent can just sidestep that shit and launch you. Right. Oh goddamn. You're right, dude. You get sweep the floor a lot with that.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like if you're off slightly, like you can really like overcommit like way.
That's
way
like
more
instant sweep. That's so weird, dude.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So I'm glad. It's funny. You call it like a cheat box or whatever, but even I have to deal with this, and you have to deal with it too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just no different. So, very interesting. Yeah, this down forward 4, right? Comes out after BDC sometimes. Be careful. So Soju, you're saying like that down forward 4 comes out of backdash cancel sometimes, or after the wipe the floor. So you could, interesting. So if you're backdashing and you want to keep out, and then you accidentally like backdash cancel yourself into a wipe the floor, right?
Oh, because the crouch cancel.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Okay.
Oh shit, Soju with the tech. Thank you, Soju.
Yeah, that's actually legit. Yeah, that is.
Yeah, that's legit.
Yeah, that's why I don't like using down 4-4 in general. Like, it has great range, but it's super linear. And like, look at this shit. I'm just standing and doing this shit, and it just happens too often, man. And like, it's unacceptable getting launched. It's unacceptable, dude. So take your risks where you can take them.
Oh yeah, totally.
See,
There
that
you
was
go.
that was actually
Yeah.
that was me just crane backdash canceling. It just so happened to catch me so on the block. But for me, I like to play Nina pretty safe, like in terms of like neutral poke and defense. Like sometimes I do sidestep 2. Sometimes I do that as a panic move. Sidestep 2 is actually like for the amount of risk. For the amount of risk.
For raid, man. Oh man, sorry.
That's
Hey,
all
ain't
right.
you that guy that played Black Ops with Sukin? You bastards! I'm gonna be known for something that, like, you know, I didn't even do, man. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. What's going on, guys? Thanks so much for the host or the raid, Scar. I'm here with Ardo, our special guest Ardo. He's teaching us about Nina offense, as always. Man, Scar, if you're gonna keep raiding me like this, I'll add you to auto host. All right? It's like I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to raid you or host you like during my normal stream times. So at least I can get some viewers your way. How about that? I really appreciate it as always, man. Thank you. The Black Ops with Sukin, gosh. But what Scar was talking about, and or not Scar, what Ardo was talking about, and Soju was basically when you're backdash canceling with Nina, right? Sometimes this down forward 4 is pretty good, but sometimes, as you can see, you can miss the input, and then what will happen is you'll get a wipe the floor when you don't want to, and it happens a lot while you're backdash canceling because
The crouch cancel.
just the way, you know, the crouch cancel. So if you hit the down forward 4 at the wrong time, you know, you'll turn into a wipe the floor, which you'll probably overcommit. So what's going on, Jim? How are you?
I'm not gonna lie.
guys. It's hard to interact with chat right now. I'm on a call with Ardo, so we'll listen to what he has to say.
Yeah.
This is what's going on, guys.
A lot of times, I mean, this comes from my Mishima plays, but you know how like a lot of Mishimas use a wave dash into while standing 4, like as a mid, because they don't have a good. At least Kazi doesn't have a good mid, right? So it's an 11 frame mid that you can do out of crouch cancel. If you're good at that, you can do that in neutral as well, and you're +7 on hit. So,
It
it has
standing forward.
Yeah, it has really good range. It is linear as fuck, but you know, it's a good mid to see if they're gonna you know. It's
But
fast.
it's not, okay, so it says 11 frames in Tekken Bot, but it's not because
no, because you're crouch canceling. So the fastest you can do it is 13 frames. So
that's perfect though.
Yeah,
Holy
that's
shit.
perfect. Yeah, but it's not too bad to do perfectly. It's really not. Sometimes you do get quarter circle forward 4, which sucks. So you just gotta practice this shit. It is kind of it's kind of memey, but it's a good keep out tool. Like it's much better in my opinion than down forward 4. Down forward 4 is okay if you know you're not going to do the sweep. But I've done this so many fucking times by accident. And I really hate that. Because you throw fucking games doing that shit, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, so like, I don't know. Nina's like a very high execution character, so like, I don't know, like, you know what's really good to do too on offense? So like, when you're doing sidestep 1 cancels, you can do sidestep 1 into wall standing 4s, if I can fucking do it. That was dumb.
Into while standing 4?
Yeah.
How are you? Oh, you're doing a forward sway into it? Like, hold on. Like that?
Yeah. You can do that. That's pretty good.
Don't you sidestep 1? You hold forward, and then you
Oh,
instantly press forward.
that's the baby way.
Oh, really? What's the right?
I mean,
or what's the way you do it?
I try to do perfect cancels every time. It's not ideal, honestly. It's not.
Oh no, what do you mean by perfect cancel? You mean back up back?
So yeah, back up back, and then you do instant while standing 4. It's hard. It's hard.
Fuck.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it. You can just hold forward, but
Yeah, I thought that was the right way to do it.
I mean,
hold forward.
yeah, you can. You can do that way, but I don't like doing that because yeah, I just don't like.
Oh
doing
yes, like Orb has the tech. He says sidestep 1 and then just press down forward 4.
Oh really?
It turns into while standing 4.
Oh, canceling?
Yeah, into down forward 4. Yeah,
Oh.
it should the while standing 4 should come out. Maybe not.
I don't know. I'm trash at this game, man.
Whatever, dude.
Down forward 4. That's down forward 4.
Oh, but you're doing back up back, right?
Yeah.
You just press down forward 4 right after sidestep 1, and then I think it's because you're holding forward, it instantly cancels the sway.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that works too.
interesting. I didn't know
I'm
about
used to
that
doing the
notation.
perfect cancels, so don't listen to me.
Right.
I'm the tryhard, so don't listen to me. But yeah, that's the easier way to do it. So that's pretty good too, to see if your opponent wants to press or duck. Unfortunately, you can't see if it's on what it is on counter hit because it's the same thing. You know, it is a normal hit. So that's
Right.
yeah. So I don't know. Like I guess that's why I like to do perfect cancels because you can do whatever you want out of perfect cancels, right? So
Sure.
But for defense, yeah, man, it's all about spacing. Like, it depends on what your opponent likes to do too. Like, you have to understand, like, in neutral what they like to do. Like, if you're facing Jin and they do a shit ton of forward fours, then you know you're gonna have to sidestep that shit, right? You're gonna have to sidewalk. And if they do a random electric, well, that sucks for you. You're getting launched. You know, it's just a risk you have to take. Like, with Nina, like, that's just the nature of Nina. It's like she's very risky, high execution. And her risk isn't inherently in her moves themselves. It's just her neutral game in general, her gameplay in general is very risky because most of it is based off of conditioning. It's very similar to Hwarang, actually. Hwarang is he's a very easy version of Nina, in my opinion, because he has whip punishers, he has long range moves, he has things that are, you know, homing and devastating. He has a shit ton of plus frames, things like that. You know, good mix up. Whereas Nina's pure execution and shit range.
It feels bad, man.
Very mediocre punish. So.
Oh man, all right, good to know.
I
feel like you see the thing is though, you have this foundational knowledge. You're like, oh well, he's doing this, I'm gonna sidestep. Like the thing is, like sometimes, like if you don't know how to deal with this, you don't know how to deal with this, right? And you know, and then you start seeing variations. You're just gonna be like, holy fucking shit, right? And this is where I struggle. I know some people can learn on the fly, but I'm just really bad at it. I need to do the homework first.
Adapting is very important in Tekken, man. Like, that's honestly, especially for Nina. Nina is a character where if you can't adapt mid-match, you're just gonna lose flat out, because Nina she doesn't. Oh shit.
Sorry. Hold on.
It's okay.
All right. Oh man, I've lost everything. Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, you lagged the fuck out.
yeah. No, it Tekken crashed. Tekken crashed straight up.
Damn,
holy
dude.
crap. Okay, yeah, this is crazy. Oh man. Let me see. Okay, hey, Lightning Regent is on, dude. I don't know if I want you to play him. He plays the most simple Nina that I've ever seen, and he's so effective.
Just poking, right?
Yeah, and he also does the Korean style where no strings. No strings.
Yep.
Yeah, no strings, and but he introduced this concept to me called I guess he called it like lockup, and he called it lockup because you purposely do strings that people are very familiar with, and the reason you do that is so. Like, let's say I do can opener. Oh, can openers are such a scrub ass move. Well, I'm only going to give you up forward 4, right? I'm only going to give you up forward 4, and then he's going to start like changing it up, right? He does the up forward 4 to have you quote unquote lock up, because you're like, oh shit, I need a low parry here, and then he's not going to give you that second attack, right? And so he's very good at doing that. Yesterday I ran a death match with him. What was the score at the end? It was 18-1. I got the very last match off him. That's it. It was fucking terrible. He kicked my ass. He's also in California too, so our connection's really good.
Yeah, that's kind of similar to what I was saying about conditioning, right? Like, and testing whether your opponent knows Nina or not.
Yes, he's very good at doing that. Yeah. Like, he'll catch me. But the thing is, I'll adapt, but I won't do that back to him. You know what I'm saying? Like you were saying, like you don't really condition. And that's the thing, Ardo. When I asked you that question about conditioning, like let's say you jab me like about 3 times and I blocked all 3 times, right? In our previous match, and you saw that I like the step or whatever. If you see that I like the step, you know, you'll probably start doing down forward 1+2 or something, right? In response. The thing is, how long do you keep that information in your head? It's like, do you start changing it when I start changing? So let's say now I'm not going to step after your jabs. I'm gonna maybe start backdashing. Now you have to start.
Yeah, then you go long range.
Previous information you had, you kind of, I won't say you have to throw it out, but you just have to understand that, like, I'm not gonna keep taking that, right?
Yeah. Oh, didn't miss input, but yeah. Like, so I'm basically on the fly adapting. So like, what, for example, Jello's in my chat, and what he likes to do is, he likes to do, when I'm like 1 HP, he'll do a mid, and then he'll do a mid and down 4 or something like that. Down 4, yeah, right? Yeah. And like, that's very common, right, as a round ender. So it's like an option select where, like, okay, so I can either jab him and get crushed by this down 4, and if he does another down forward 1, then you know, I'm gonna counter hit him or something with a magic 4 or some shit. So instead of just doing that, a lot of times I'll just backdash or move away from him and kind of fuzzy his options. But in terms of that's in defense. But if I'm reacting to every time like he does that, like I'm just kind of like it's a hard read at that point. That's 100% hard read, because if your back is against the wall, you have one hit, it's a hard read. There's not much you can do in that kind of scenario. You just have to understand what you just have to feel your opponent out, like how thirsty they are, right? And I'm used to playing Jello because we played thousands of games together. So I know when he's thirsty, he's going to go for that fucking down 4, and I'm just going to low parry it every time, right? And if I don't, then he's just going to kill me with this. So, yeah, one or the other.
But
so,
you can't backdash out of this, right? No, if I do this,
yeah,
this,
exactly, it's scary because I'm constantly fuzzing at that point. So, it's like sometimes I do YOLO, sometimes I do this when sometimes I do that. It's just a hard read. Or, this, or, just a generic down jab. Down jab is pretty good, too. That's a pretty good option. But yeah, you just have to feel it out. Like, like, I will condition you. Like, if I see you not doing anything and I'm just backdashing sidestep, and if you're not doing anything, I'm going to do a low.
Right.
And then eventually down forward 1.
Like, I mean, how many times does it take for you to start being confident in your decision? Like, okay, he's blocking every time. Like, I'll wait like maybe 1 or 2 times, and then I'll start going for these lows, or like.
I wouldn't really worry about how many times you do it. I would worry about what your opponent's doing. So like, if your opponent's just literally just standing there, just eating these jabs,
holding back or something,
then they're already locked up. They're already looking for the 50-50. You know what I mean? You got to know their mindset. They're looking for the 50-50. Don't give them that 50-50. Just backdash, see what they do. And if they become aggressive, just do down 4-2s just randomly in neutral, and they're gonna get counter hit launched, or like back 3 or back 4, sorry, things like that, or magic 4. Just you can just kind of fish for those counter hit launchers in neutral.
How long do you quote unquote feel before you start like making like reads? Because like I know some people will just like play crazy like me. Like even though this is our first match, I'll go for the launch. I don't give a fuck. Right?
Yeah.
But the thing is, like you'll test a few times, and then you start making reads. Like, okay, he's gonna start to move, whatever. We're gonna do this, right? Even Soju saying down 3-4 into down forward 1+2 is like an example of what you're talking about. Because at higher levels, people are gonna step that last one, right?
Yeah.
So when they step, then I know you're gonna move. Let's try to counter that, right? Yeah, like up forward, yeah, he was blowing me up with all sorts of just like like random shit, like up forward 4, and then you see how he ducked there. He'll down forward 1-2 there, or he'll do that right afterwards. It's probably because my defense is bad, but it's just very interesting his approach.
Yeah, see like how I can flash duck there. It's I don't have to commit to the duck. If people are committing to the duck, then they obviously don't know Nina's options, because she doesn't have to do that. She doesn't have to do anything. And that's the thing about just doing singular moves and seeing how they react, right? So like the right response there is not to YOLO and just do up forward 4 and then do a mid. It's more like do up forward 4 and then backdash. See what the fuck they do.
Forward 4 and backdash.
And then see what they do. If they're already ducking like this, then they know the strings. They know Nina.
They
right?
know
So,
exactly. Yeah.
So you already got the information, and once you get the information, you can abuse it. So then you can do stuff like instant wall sending 1 into that, or do instant wall sending 1 into what's it? This one, things like that, right? You can start doing see if they duck that, or if they they try to counter hit it, or they don't respect the string. That comes down to like learning about Nina and what your opponent does. So I think it really depends on each opponent. Like the way I play Tekken is round 1 is pure like, what is my opponent gonna do? How are they gonna play? What's their game plan, right? And then round 2 is more like, okay, I'm gonna counter their game plan as much as I can with movement and try to abuse them, right? And then round 3 is more is back to round 1. Is how does my opponent want to play? That's how usually it is, and it keeps going in that cycle. Like let's say this is round 1. I see you sidestepping a lot. I'm going to use homing and like mids or shit that was supposed to be down forward 1+2, things like that. You didn't whip punish me, so I know you're a little slow. Things like that.
Oh wow, yeah. You like constant information.
Yeah.
You can get
so much information. Yeah, you're like hesitating to launch. On whips. Like if I whip from here, I know you're not gonna do shit because you have no range, right? So you're not just throwing out launchers, things like that. And you're not aggressing after that. So down back 2 on block is -5, and most people do jab,
Do jabs,
So if you're not jabbing, then if I think that you either think it's punishable. If you are jabbing, then you probably think it's punishable, or you're just trying to forcefully keep me still, right? Because I'm -5. Because if I duck, you know, like it can crush it, you know, things like that. People don't know that, like it's not punishable, you know. Random slides.
But that goes back into information. If I literally don't know, like it's so hard to feel the frames, right? Like the difference between -13 and -14 is literally one frame. How the fuck are you gonna know unless you've done the homework, right?
Yeah. Like right there, you just whiffed, and like that's like a feels bad moment, right? You did instant wall setting one, and that just happens with Nina. It's just the nature of Nina. Like you have to take some risks. Yeah. Like see right there, I walked into your down 4-2.
All right.
Yeah. So that was a miss.
So I didn't punish that.
And that, yeah.
I'm not sure if you can. I can punish that.
Yeah, it's this is -14.
Yeah, but if you space it, I remember that's why I like using it, is because
if you space it properly. Yeah, but it's hella linear, so
it's hella linear.
Yeah.
Like I can't 4-3 there. Okay.
Yeah, so it's just understanding, you know, like 4-4-3. I don't like using. It's just too linear.
You don't like using, right?
No.
Yeah, it's very linear.
It's very linear.
I use it against Lei though, against Super Cop Lei, because I have to. I mean, you kick that motherfucker on the ground.
Yeah, 4-4-3 is actually pretty decent against. And like if your opponent is like, you can tell how they're reacting, like whether they're gonna be looking for lows or mids, like the 50-50, or if they're gonna be using movement. Like Quan likes to use a lot of movement rather than guessing the 50-50, which is why I punish him a lot with homing. Right. Same with Jello. Jello, I don't know why he sidesteps even when I'm +8. I'm like, dude, that's the way he gets launched a lot.
that's a shitload. Yeah.
He gets launched a lot for sidestepping.
Okay, so Jin Kazama main says he spams 3-2. Nina has 3-2. I thought it's down 4-3-2.
Down 4-3-2 is
the mid high.
Mid high, yeah, that's super risky.
Yeah, it's risky because it's all Jin Kazama. Everything after this down 3 is high, so that's why just if you flash duck launch, it's very bad. Then we have 66602 who says a 4-4-3 is counter hit, decent for counter hit. It's launchable by some though. Okay, and then I have Shananan. This video is short, just 1 minute. What is that video about? It's not better not you like Rickroll or some shit. It's Tekken 7 sidestep into foreground while crouching.
Oh yeah, he was spamming that in my chat.
Oh okay. Do you know about that?
Yeah, it's just an electric sidestep. So I don't know.
Electric sidestep.
Yeah, so electric sidestep. I don't think Nina has. I guess she kind of does.
I guess maybe we should watch the video.
Yeah, I don't know, but
we'll take a look at that. Thank you, Shannon. Shannon. I'm not sure if that's the best way to call your name. Just let me know if I got it wrong. Sorry. But okay.
So offensive wise, like once you've learned enough information on your opponent, you can start abusing them, right? So like the first game, usually with Nina, you don't want to just do, you know, can openers and like gimmick, right? You don't want to do gimmick. The first one is literally just poke spacing. See what your opponent does, you know, and see what they like to do. And if they're gonna sidestep, things like that. And then they're gonna eventually fuck up really bad. And once they fuck up really bad, you have to punish them as hard as you can. So if it's launch punishable, launch it. If they whiff something that's launch punishable, you have to launch it. And that makes your opponent super defensive or super aggressive, right? And either way, it works out for you. If they're being really aggressive, you get more counter hit launchers. You get more whiff punishers, right? And then they eventually die. They're just gonna hang themselves, right? But with the defensive players, that also actually works out for Nina too, because Nina has a bunch of things that she can open you up with, right? Like just her movement alone, like, you know, it's just kind of annoying. It's threatening as fuck, right? Like if I'm just crouching in front of your face, you know, like it's fucking scary. So like defensive characters, like it's a gimmick, right? It's just a full mix up gimmick. But you know, you're losing space. Like Tekken is very like kind of sumo wrestling based, where space is more important, and the stage awareness is very important. So if every time they give up ground, it's to your advantage, right? So even if you just do a couple dashes in their face and a back dash away from them, you know, like they're already at the wall, and then once they're at the wall, they have less options. You know?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, so that's how you get them to open up and make them do a move. You can also, you know, do very safe moves like jabs or down 2, or, you know, if you're feeling confident down back 3. I don't like using down back 3. I really don't, because it's seeable. It's hard to block.
It's seeable, dude. Ardo down 2, down back 3, wipe the floor. These are all 20 frame moves, man.
Yeah,
They're all the same.
Wipe the floor is definitely a hard read. because it's at a full crouch, right? But down back 3 is a little bit like it has. Look at it. It has a startup. You see how it's similar to Jin's Hell Sweep, where he like picks up his foot and starts to like to do it. Like you can definitely react to Jin's Hell Sweep if you're on point, right?
Right.
Yeah, so like it's a very similar
how
thing.
on point are you? Like, what's your success rate with like
If I'm like,
blocking that
if I don't know, man, not these days I don't really care. These days I don't really care about that stuff. I used to be like, I used to low parry every fucking low, like on reaction 100%, like every time. Like you can ask like Jello. Jello, do you remember when I played Steve, dude? When I fucking first picked him up, I low parried every fucking low, every single low that he did.
Shit.
I was fuzzy guarding constantly and reacting to every low. But now I just don't give a fuck. Now I just want to get better. You know, like, I don't care.
What's wrong with no? Hold on. You say get better. Like, what's wrong with fuzzy or
Because that's just too much, dude.
Is it
Not reacting, you lying boy. You call me a fucking boy, you can get banned, motherfucker. All right. Down back 3 is definitely seeable. If you don't think it's seeable, then that's on you. Whatever, it's relative, but it's definitely seeable.
Right.
That's
Definitely seeable, huh?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
100%.
Okay, I guess I could practice against that. Holy
Yeah,
shit.
like do it to Quan. Do this to Quan, or down back 3 with Quan, and see how many times he's launched that as Kazuya. He's gonna fucking duck that while sending 1-2 every time.
Yeah, no, he'll definitely punish it. I've seen it.
Yeah, so like it's reactable 100%. Like Hell Sweep isn't, right? And this sweep is not. That's just a read. Because that shit's at a full crouch. You know, I could do anything, right?
Right,
It's just
out
it's,
of full crouch. Yeah, you can,
so.
I like that. Okay.
Ardo's too theoretical. I mean, whatever, dude. You can think whatever.
No, it's just different. It's different approaches, right?
Yeah,
Orb says wipe the floor is 24 frames technically from standing because you.
Yeah, because you're right. You have to. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's not so much the actual move itself. It's more like the threatening. Like she's crouching, right? So she's holding down forward.
You wall standing too, or
it's just you can't react to the move to itself because there's too many things that blend together. That's why Hell Sweep is unseeable, is because they're wave dashing in your face or whatever when they wave dash, right? But you can't see the Hell Sweep startup. You can't see anything significant that shows that hey, I'm gonna do a low, right? But down back 3, you can see her foot get picked up. She even says hup, like that. You know, like there's audio cues. There's things that you can tell. Like it's not necessarily just by seeing the low, right? You don't like it's kind of similar to slippery kicks, where slippery kicks is seeable, right?
What's slippery kicks?
Oh, Eddie's 3 slide 4. That low.
3 slide 4. Okay.
Yeah. Like it's seeable when he's standing. You can definitely see it coming. But like he's gonna like throw his fucking legs in the air and then sweep you, right? Like you can see that shit coming, and that's just because you're familiar with the move. It really depends on how familiar. Jello, you can't block lows for shit. You're just like literally doing this the whole time. Like that's maybe because you have bad reactions, but some people can, right? Okay, it's relative. So like,
Soju says you can roll dash and then do a down forward 1+2 or down back 3+4.
Yeah.
So how would you apply that exactly?
I would never apply that. I would probably just do homing, but I would never do a launcher. I would never do that move. That like down back 3+4 is only good as a whiff punish, 100%. And even then, it's kind of questionable.
Hold on. So you would roll dash, you would do this, and then into down forward 1+2. Is that what Soju is saying?
Oh, I see how you got that now.
Yeah.
No,
you have to crouch cancel that, right?
Yeah, don't sway. Sway forward in neutral is bad.
Okay.
It's only good.
Yeah, it can be delayed. Oh,
yeah,
okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So you can just do this and then cancel. So it's the same difference as it's the same difference as just doing this. You know, it's the same thing essentially. Like roll dashing, or sway in is not very good.
Oh, hey, so this is how you do it. Basically, so I don't know if you saw that video, Ardo, but basically, you know how there's a difference between this is the actual full forward sway, and then I can step here, right? Forward sway, step, right? That's the actual full, but you can actually do a half sway, right? So when you do half sway, you go like that, right? And so you're not
the
totally
crouch
locked
dash.
in. And,
the
crouch dash. And so when you crouch dash like that, you can actually step in between, right?
Yeah.
Like you're
or
fully committed
cancel.
like this.
Yeah.
So I think Soju's saying down and then down forward, and then you can. It actually does go into right hand, so you actually can do it from. See, this is great. This is why it's really nice streaming. It's you're able to do that half.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good. Yeah, this is pretty good.
That is good because it gives it more distance. Because fucking this is
so.
I've whiffed this.
That's a really good point. Actually, thanks for bringing
that. Point.
That.
Soju, dude, thank you, Soju.
That's actually really good. I need to.
You can also wipe the floor. You can also wipe the floor.
I
know about the wipe the floor, but give it a little bit extra range, right? You know, it's basically like a really ghetto, one wave dash from me, right?
It's like it gives it like maybe like 0.5 more range, but
Right.
it's more
It's
range than
something.
she needs. Yeah, she needs more range.
It's
So.
something.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good
Yeah,
point.
you could also up 4-2-1, right? I mean, anything out of the out of forward sway, really. I mean, you could also do that too if you want. So.
Yeah.
Is that mid crush? Basha, which one are you talking about? Which one mid crushes? None of them should mid crush. Maybe if only it would only be wipe the floor. That one I've had to go over some crazy shit before.
Maybe. Want to jab and then do wipe the floor?
Yeah, sure.
Oh.
Yeah, no. Try yeah, I don't know. I'll try
Down
like,
forward
slow.
3? How slow
down
is this?
forward
No,
that's 14
That's
frames.
14. What's the slow? I'll try
Okay.
forward
Oh
1
yeah,
plus 2.
wipe the floor crushes mids at the latest frames. Yes, I've seen it. I've definitely seen it go over mids.
Yeah.
What's a slow mid you could do?
That one? 17.
I don't know. That's gonna hit, right? That shit goes so low. That hits fucking lay and shit. Well, actually, I'm not sure if it's. No, you should have.
Yeah,
you'll have frame advantage there. You what can we do here? I'm not really sure. Spam
Maybe up 4-2. Up 4-2. Up 4-2. We'll do
up 4-2. Okay. Yeah, you still hit me out of it. Well, if you're slightly late, I think we might be able to crush man. Maybe not. Jesus.
Then try being.
It's because wipe the floor is 24 frames, right?
Yeah,
Whatever,
yeah.
right?
Try.
So it's like,
Is there anything where Nina is plus 3?
oh, how about this? 66602 says we do a forward 3. I'm plus 7 here, and then I'll go into wipe the floor, and then you can maybe go for a faster mid or something.
I mean, you're plus 7, dude. There's no way I'm gonna be able to do anything.
Well, just do it.
Oh, like
so we
down
can see
4-2.
if it
Okay.
crushes, right?
All right, I'll do down 4-2.
All right, hold on. Damn. Yeah. See,
Yeah,
I'm too slow. I guess.
I'll try doing forward 1 plus 2.
No, actually, no. I think that should work. If I don't fuck it up. I mean, I'm trying to do it as fast as possible, guys.
Yeah.
It's
hard,
good.
man.
Yeah, 602. It's no 66602. I wouldn't say it's not good. It's just that you have to understand when your opponent is locked up. When they're willing to hold back and they're not willing to press after a forward 3. You can definitely use forward 3 into wipe the floor. I don't see why not.
Yeah, like forward 3 is actually like it's very situational, right? Like even against a good player, like they're not gonna duck it every single time. They if they're under a lot of pressure and they're being locked up and they're in the 50-50 mind game, then they may just block both highs. It's really it really depends. Like you just have to learn the player.
Infinite Azure.
But yeah, if you want, we can kind of like play out like kind of some pseudo games, and I can I can see how you play and stuff like that.
Yeah. I definitely liked when you were speaking like what was in your head as we were playing, because you're like, oh, you didn't punish that, or I see that you're not pressing anything after that. I think that's very, very insightful.
Yeah, that's how I play, and maybe it's a little bit too analytical, but
no,
that's
fuck
just
no,
how
dude.
I do.
Yeah, that's
like openers are very important. Like if I see my opponent that wants to press like immediately on the opener, then I know they want to play aggro, right? See, like I did wall standing 1 there, and you press right away. That means you don't know the second edition, so I know you don't know Kazu too well.
The wall standing what? I'm sorry.
That's Twin Pistons, wall standing 1-2.
Oh yeah, wall standing 1-2. But this one I have to wait it out, right? I have to wait it out.
You have to wait, so that's why I did wall standing 1 to see if you did something.
Oh, just to see if I would press afterwards.
Yeah.
Shit. Okay.
It's hard to do that though. Like